Dear students of class 9, welcome back to the second part of diversity in living organism. So, as I have mentioned in my previous class that as per the regulation of SEBA that we have to curtail your syllabus, and now your chapter 7 diversity of living organism is up to unit 7.3.5, and from unit 7.4 the rest of the part is of the chapter is omitted. So now we will discuss about the hierarchy of classification of group. Now, what does hierarchy of classification means? So, in previous chapter or previous class, I have discussed that how the diverse is our living organism. Now, in order to study this our living organism, we have to classify them, group them in certain groups, and certain we have to group them in certain groups so that we can study the individual of that group, and it will be more convenient. So in order to classify them into group, so I have mentioned previously that how Aristotle, he tried to do what, he tried to classify organism based on their habitat, but it was seem unfair. So now they have decided to group them based on their physical characteristic from simpler to more complex. So that is why they did what, they made an hierarchy, means what, order of classification. So in the hierarchical order we see the biggest or the um, biggest order of hierarchy is the kingdom, and the lowest and smallest is the species. In the kingdom level we will see maximum organism, means what, there will be more in organism in kingdom level. Similarly, organism will reduce a bit less in phylum, then in class it will reduce more and more, it will reduce, and finally in species there will be one specific type of organism, suppose human and lion. So human and lion may share some of those uh, phylums, or sorry, some of those hierarchy together, but the end human and lion will be of different species, means what, they may start from a specific point, but we will see at some point they will deviate and they will form their individual species. Now let me cite an example to make it even more clear to you. Now kingdom we see is the highest level, and the species means what, the lowest level. Lowest level means what, as we move downward we become more specific. Suppose let me take for example, I need to find a boy named A in Al Hira school, right? Sorry, forget about a boy named suppose uh, X in Al Hira school. So suppose in Al Hira school there are 200 students. Now, how would I know? How would I find that X student? So first of all, I'll know in which school he studies. So we'll know that he studies in Al Hira school. So we'll come to Al Hira school. So when we come to school, we see there are 200 number of students. Now how to find him among specifically him from 200? How to differentiate him from 200 students? So we have to know certain feature. So first feature which we have discovered is that he studies in Al Hira. Now the second feature which we'll learn, that in which class does he study? Sorry, in which class does he study? Suppose class 9. Now when we went to Al Hira school first, then we went to class 9. So in class 9, suppose we found 20 students. Now we have to know, is X a boy or a girl? Suppose we came to know it's a girl. So we found another characteristic. It's a girl. Now suppose there are 7 girls. Al Hira 200. Now there are 7 girls. So out of 7 girls, suppose we know that X is of height 5.3, right? Height 5.3. So I have seen 5.3 students are there. Out of 7, there are 3 students which have height of 5.3. So now next is the height. So we have seen 3 students with the same height. Now we have to know that out of this student who is our X. Now out of this student we have to find who is our X. Now we have to be even more specific. How to find that X has a mole on her left chin. Mole, you know, a black dot, a black mark in her left chin. So out of three girl, we found that one girl have a mole in her left chin. So this is our X. So let just assume that we have started from 200 students and we ended up to the specific student we have found, that is our X, we found her. So similarly is the kingdom level is the biggest level and species level is the smallest level. Now let me make you even more specific how they are classified, or how can we differentiate between these organisms. Now let's take example, for example, humans. You don't have to remember those terms, just for your understanding, but I will say it. If you don't want to remember, it's okay, it's fine. And if you want to remember it, it's fine. If you don't want, just fine. Just for your understanding, I am saying this to you. Now again, as I have said, that all organisms have to follow this hierarchy of classification, right? So the hierarchy are kingdom, phylum, next is I think order, family, then it is genus, species. Okay. Now human, lion, tiger. So we know all of them are animal, right? We humans are animal, lion is an animal and tiger is an animal as well. So they will form under single kingdom, that is animal, right? This is also an animal, it's also animal. So in biology they are termed as animalia, but just for your understanding it's animal. Now next we go to phylum. So in phylum, so we are doing what, we are dividing them, or we are classifying them based on characteristic. First characteristic what we have found, that they are animal. Now let us look at the second characteristic, that is the phylum. Second most specific characteristic, that is phylum, is they are chordata. Means what, they have vertebral column. So vertebral column, you know, backbone. We see animal, human also have a vertebral column, lion also have a vertebral column, tiger also have a vertebral column. Now if you look at the order of human, it's primate. Now primate means what, those who have primate are those mammals which have ape like features, like we human, like monkey, baboon, gorilla, right? Those are the primates. But similarly, other are not primate. They are not primate. They do not have four limbs to grasp. They do not. Primate are those organisms which uses their forelimb to grasp, to hold something. So human are primate, order primate. Lion are not of order primate. Tiger, is it a primate? No, because they use their forelimb to run. They use their forelimb, means what, their front leg to run. But human use their forelimb to hold something, to grasp something. Next, if you look at the family, here we see, but what is the order of lion and tiger then? Now they are primate, but they are what? Both of them. We see what are the similarities then between them. So they are carnivores. So their order will be carnivora. Means what? They are carnivores. See, human has already been out of the race. Means what? The similarities of between these three animal is up to phylum level. Up to phylum level, these three are similar. Now human is no longer similar. Now let us talk about these two. Okay, we'll side by side we'll also know about the family, genus or species of human also. But just try to understand the classification. Now, if you look at the family of human is Hominidae. No need to understand, just try to remember. Whereas the family of lion is Felidae. Similarly, if we look at tiger, its family is also Felidae. Felidae. So, still we see the classification of lion and tiger is similar, but the human is all have already separated from this classification, but here we see they are still similar. Next it is, if we look at the genus, the human is Homo, and now lion is Panthera, Panthera, Panthera. Means what? These two are from cat family. This is not from a cat family. And if you look at the specific level, it is Sapiens, it is Leo, and that is Tigris. So here we see at finally lion and tiger are differentiated at specific level, at the species level, because that now what is a species? Species are group of individual that are capable of interbreeding or reproducing among themselves. Now up to the genus level we see both of them were similar, but when it was in species level they are now different. Had they have been able to reproduce or breed among themselves, then this would have been another matter. But in human we see up to phylum level they were together. You see, as we progress downward we become more specific and more individual. So this is the basis of hierarchy. Did you understand? I hope you have understood. If you do not understand anything, you can call me on specified time mentioned, right? I think it's during the evening hour, so you call me. Now the next part is who have classified. So the classification, the attempt of classification was made by three prominent scientists. It's Ernest Haeckel, Robert Whittaker, and Carl Woese. But we see that Robert Whittaker, he proposed this idea of classification, and it was accepted. So he proposed the idea of Robert Whittaker. He proposed the idea of hierarchy of classification, which is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And based on the finally, they were named. Now the classification of the living organism. So they decided what would okay. Okay, now Robert Whittaker, he did what? Robert Whittaker, he classified the previously we have came to know that Aristotle has classified based on habitat, and now Robert Whittaker, he did what? He classified all the living organism based on 5 categories based on their characteristic. Now what are these characteristics? 5 kingdom, we can say 5 kingdom. So he classified all the living organism in 5 kingdom. Now try and understand. If you understand this flowchart properly, I hope there is no need of memorizing it. Now in the beginning of this chapter I have said that classification was always from simple to complex, right? Do you remember? It's from simple to more complex. Now how it is from simple to more complex, let us know. So what is the most most living organism you can imagine? What type of cell can a simplest organism have? A simplest organism can have a what type of cell? Can have a prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell, right? It's an old form of cell without the nucleus or membrane bounded organelle, and it should be unicellular, right? So we cannot imagine anything much simpler than that, right? Oldest form of cell, oldest format of cell, that is prokaryotic, and it's unicellular, means single celled animal. Now if we move a bit advanced type of organism, then from prokaryotic we will see what the cellular level, the cellular structure will be a bit more advanced. Then what is the advanced version of prokaryotic? It's the eukaryotic, right? And still it will be unicellular. We have to go slowly, right? Not we have to suddenly jump from prokaryotic multicellular, right? We have to go slowly, right? Next, let us first discuss these 2 kingdoms. Then we'll get to know more about it. Now, the first kingdom that we'll be talking about is classified by Whittaker is Monera. Now, what are the characteristics of Monera? Very simply, we will learn the characteristics of Monera. So, the first character we have already found that they are prokaryotic and unicellular. They are prokaryotic, they are unicellular. Two characteristics we have already found. Simplest form, they are prokaryotic and they are unicellular, right? And the second kingdom that we'll be talking about is Protista. Now, what are the characteristics of Protista? They are eukaryotic, they are unicellular, right? Both are at the unicellular organism, but both have a difference in cell type. The first one is a bit primitive cell type, the second one is a bit the advanced cell type, but both are unicellular. So two characteristics of both the class kingdom we have found, that the Monera is prokaryotic and it is unicellular. Protista is eukaryotic and unicellular. Okay, all right. Now, few more characteristics. In Monera, cell wall may or may not be present. Cell wall may or may not be present. Right? Now, since they are not advanced yet, so their mode of nutrition may be autotroph. Mode of nutrition may be autotroph or heterotroph. Now, autotroph and heterotroph, I think you are well aware, but still I am saying that autotroph organisms are those organisms which can prepare their own food, for example, plants. But heterotroph are those organisms which depend on other organisms for their nutrition. They are known as heterotroph. We are heterotroph, right? Okay. So now mostly bacteria. So mostly bacteria we will find in this kingdom. Bacteria is there. Mostly bacteria like Mycoplasma or Cyanobacteria. So what are the characteristics of kingdom Monera? First of all, the cell wall of the organism of kingdom Monera may or may not be present. Their mode of nutrition may be autotroph or may be heterotroph, because still they are on the underdeveloped, so still they are in the primitive, so nothing is concrete here. Cell wall may or may not present, may be autotroph or heterotroph, and example are bacteria. Now in Protista, what do we see? In Protista we see so they are also either autotroph or heterotroph, right? Now Protista have the organism that are present in Protista, they have such ability to move, to perform locomotion, means what, they can move from one place to another. So there are certain body parts that are developed by the organism of kingdom Protista which help them in locomotion. So you remember them, that should be all. Suppose amoeba. So amoeba is an organism of the kingdom Protista which have pseudopodia for its locomotion. So don't get confused. The word pseudo means false. Podia means leg. False leg means, or suppose take this amoeba for example. So these are the false leg. These are the false leg and it use it for movement. So amoeba have pseudopodia for locomotion. So another organism in this kingdom is Paramecium. So Paramecium, it uses a different structure for movement. So Paramecium uses cilia to move. Now what is a cilia? So a Paramecium is an organism somewhat like this, like your slipper. So it will have hair-like structure on the side. So these are known as cilia. So it will use cilia like the rows of the boat, like the pedals of the boat, right? So you have seen the boatmen, they are paddling the boat. So it will use those cilia like a paddle to move forward. So another example of the kingdom of Protista is Euglena. Now what does Euglena use? Euglena use flagella. Now what is a flagella? Don't get confused. Flagella, suppose this is a euglena, there is a whip-like structure. A whip-like structure. Whip, you know, hunter, whip. So it uses a whip-like structure called flagella for locomotion. So example, we have already known that example are euglena, paramecium and flagella. So this is all about unicellular, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Now let us move to a bit complex organism. So unicellular over, now let's move to multicellular organism. Multicellular. Multicellular what? Prokaryotic. Of course, we are moving to more advanced. Prokaryotic. Now in multicellular prokaryotic animal, okay, let me write it here. Now in multicellular prokaryotic animal, we see there are furthermore division. Right? Now first two division will be based on the presence or absence of cell wall. Now presence or absence of cell wall and without cell wall. So in this part, those the kingdom which will be there, they will be with cell wall, and this one will be without cell wall. Now with cell wall there are two kingdom, as we have already assumed. I'll write the name later. And without cell wall there are only two. Now again with cell wall characteristics, again this one can do photosynthesis. Sorry, this one cannot do photosynthesis. And this one can perform photosynthesis. So now just try and understand. We will name the kingdom later. First of all, let us understand what can be the characteristics. Now one characteristics of this kingdom, we have already found that they are multicellular, right? Another we have found they are prokaryotic. They have prokaryotic cell, although at this point of time it's not need to mention because they are already advanced. Now they will not have any they will have cell wall. Now they cannot photosynthesis. So they cannot photosynthesis means what? They cannot prepare their own food, means what? They are heterotrophs. They have to depend on other for food, right? They are heterotrophs. Now can you guess what is the name of this kingdom? The name of the kingdom is fungi or fungi, whatever you say. Now few example of fungi are mushroom or yeast, right? These are the few example of the kingdom of fungi. So they are multicellular, they are prokaryotic, they have cell wall and they are heterotrophs. So in fungi specifically, the mode of nutrition is yes heterotrophic. As per definition, heterotroph means what? Those organisms that depend on other organisms for nutrition are heterotrophs. But in fungi, it's a bit specific because they do what? They depend for food. They depend on dead and decaying of other animal. Means what? When any animal, any organism die, they they suck nutrition from that dead remaining of that organism. Hence we can specifically say that they are saprophyte. Saprophyte means what? Those organisms that derive nutrition from dead and decaying matter. And here that can perform photosynthesis very easy. They are plant or plantae. So if we want to know the characteristic, very simple. They have cell wall, they can perform photosynthesis, hence they are autotrophs. Hence they are autotrophs. Very simple. Example are plants. Any plants you can give example. Now without cell wall, based on cell difference. Now without cell wall, we have seen there is a kingdom of organisms that do not have cell wall, but they are multicellular and prokaryotic. This kingdom is nothing but animal kingdom, that or in biology we say it is animalia. So what are the characteristics? First character we see that is they are multicellular. The cell will be prokaryotic. They will be without cell wall, and since they do not perform photosynthesis, the mode of nutrition will be heterotrophic. Good. Multicellular. Cell will be prokaryotic without cell wall and heterotrophic. Now, both of them have cell wall. Here, if you see, if we look at mushroom, sorry, if you look at fungi, kingdom fungi and kingdom plantae, both have cell wall. Now, why they are differentiated? Because first of all, based on they can or cannot photosynthesize, and secondly, the composition of the cell wall. Now, in case of fungi, the composition of cell wall is the cell wall is made up of what? Cell wall is made up of chitin or chitin, whatever you say. And here in plantae, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. We see the composition of cell wall is also different, right? So that hence we have differentiated them. So again, I'll give you a brief recap. First kingdom Monera, they are prokaryotic unicellular, very simple. Second is Protista, eukaryotic unicellular, again simple. Cell wall may or may not be present. And here we have written the definition or characteristic. Then we go to multicellular prokaryotic. In multicellular prokaryotic, two types, with cell wall and without cell wall. With cell wall, again two types, that is fungi and plantae. Without cell wall, that is animalia. So your chapter ends here. So as per the new syllabus for this year, to be very specific, it's up to this much. So you read the chapter in your home. If you still face any difficulty, do not hesitate to call, and do subscribe to Al Hiran School channel for more updates. Thank you. Have a good day.